You're watching Voices in Mystery. I'm your host, Nancy Carlson. This is our 13th season, and we have a returning mystery author with us now, Peg Herring. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Nancy.
Her Highness's First Murder?
Exactly.
What is this book about?
My first love in history and English is the Tudors. And I love Elizabeth Tudor particularly, and so I decided to make her the protagonist in a mystery series.
And she is usually protected from such icky things as murders?
Exactly, although, of course, her father did have her mother beheaded.
Yeah, that's right.
But
they didn't call that murder.
No.
It was a king's privilege.
And the problem that presents is, of course, she can't just run around the castle or the city solving murders. And so I have a second protagonist, a young man that she meets who is the son of a physician, and he has a withered arm. So he's rather shy, and of course she's not. And so she decides that the two of them are going to solve these murders that are happening in London.
Are they romantically linked or just
no,
pals?
No, just pals. He speaks Greek and she wants to practice her Greek.
That sounds wonderful. When did this book come out?
This one was January of this year.
Good.
The sequel will be in 2011. And I hope for 3 more after that. I'm kind of moving through Elizabeth's life. In this one, Henry is still alive. In the second one, which is called Poison Your Grace, Edward is king. And then I want to do one when Mary is queen, and then hopefully 2 when Elizabeth is on the throne.
That sounds fascinating. Where did you get your interest in the Tudors?
Well, I was an English teacher and a history teacher, but I think reading. I've always read, and I've loved historical novels my whole life. And I started with The Concubine, which is Nora Loft's book way back in, I don't know when, a long time ago, about Anne Boleyn, and just became fascinated with the fact that 6 women
did not please.
Well, to some extent, right. You know, Henry found something about all of them that was either good or bad, I guess. So I'm fascinated with that. And then the idea that Elizabeth grew up in that atmosphere, that her father had her mother beheaded, and yet she thought he was absolutely wonderful.
How long did you teach? And did you
26
teach the
years.
Tudors to all of your students too?
Yes, I taught world history, so it was more the European history.
Because your interest just oozes out
Yes,
of you.
it
So,
is.
I mean, I can tell you're a teacher just because you're so interested in that period that
Yes.
I must feel that way in your books too.
We were talking this morning, another historical author and I, it's hard to know, in fact it was Dan, it's hard to know what to leave out because you know your reader isn't quite as interested in the period as you are, but you'd like to tell them everything that you find out.
But it's very colorful
Yes.
history that you've selected. Other people might be interested in a period that's darker, and that's pretty exciting. So,
Well, I just did a fashion show for the another conference, and we all dressed up as our characters. So I didn't figure I could pull off Elizabeth as a teenager, so I dressed as Catherine Parr, who was the wife who got to live through the whole process. So that was great fun to actually dress as they dressed and find out how complicated that was just to get dressed. Takes
yeah.
2 people.
Lots of layers.
Yes.
Have to be rich.
Yes.
The poor people surely didn't dress in that many layers.
No.
So how did you first contact a publisher about your Tudor series, and did they understand that there were a lot of colorful stories that could be told that would last?
Right. 5 Star is my publisher, and they had already published an earlier book of mine called Macbeth's Niece. So it was fairly simple to approach them with, I have another historical, and this one's a mystery, and they were fine with that. So.
And is that publisher also publishing ebooks? And
Yes, this one's been picked up by Amazon. Actually, Amazon approached 5 Star and said, we would like to make this an ebook. So that came out in June.
have you read an ebook yet?
Yes, I have another book on ebook that came out in April called Go Home and Die. And that one's a Vietnam era mystery. And so I bought a Kindle. And that's the first book I bought, was my own.
Well, good for you. And did you read it or just
No,
hold it.
I just hold it. Yes.
Can't exactly thumb the pages, but you
No,
can at least
right.
hold it and look at it
Right.
on your own. And do you think that'll be the future of reading?
I do. I don't think books are ever going to go away, but I think people are going to get. It's so addictive because you finish a book and right away you can have another one. You know, if you like Her Highness's First Murder, you can right away go order the next one.
And they're less expensive,
Yes.
so that could be the future
And
for
I
you.
figured out that you can turn the pages of a Kindle with one hand, so you can eat with the other hand.
Good for lunch hours
Yes.
or
Potato
whatever.
chips.
What are you researching now?
Well,
What
I'm working
pieces
on
of research?
Book 3 is Elizabeth with Mary on the throne. And of course, at that time, Elizabeth came pretty close to being executed because Mary did not really want her alive. So I've been researching the Tower of London, where she was kept, what it was like, and what the conditions were for her at that period.
Do you travel there?
I keep telling my husband we have to go back. We have not been for a couple years, and I would really like to look at the tower more specifically now that I need it.
You live in a tiny town,
Yes.
very, very far north in Michigan, where it might be pretty easy to be alone. How do you deal with the outside publishing world? Is it email? Or?
All by email. I've never met my editor. I've never met my agent. I meet some people at conferences, and it's fun to put faces with the names. But yeah, really, I'm 6 hours from even the border of Michigan, so to travel is more difficult than it is for someone who's based in Chicago or something.
You're not near a major metropolitan airport.
No.
Everything's far away from Onaway, Michigan.
Right.
But you're able to do this, and
Yes.
your love of the Tudors comes across in your books, and I hope you'll be very successful with that.
Thank you very much.
So I enjoyed having you back on the show, Voices in Mystery. I hope the readers or the viewers will pick up Her Highness's First Murder. Sounds sort of,
Yes.
you know, like an odd thing to be happening to Her Highness.
Right.
So thank you very much. We've been talking to Peg Herring. You're watching Voices in Mystery. And Peg, come back next year, too.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.